ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमहायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ Mantra number 5. यत्र सुप्तः न कंचन कामं कामयते न कंचन स्वप्नं पश्यति तत् सुषुप्तं। सुषुप्तस्थानः एकीभूतः प्रज्ञानघनः एव आनन्दमयः हि आनन्दभुक् चेतोमुखः प्राज्ञः तृतीयः पादः. So we are right now understanding this is the fifth pada, our third pada of the Atma, and that is been explained by Bhashyakara. And the third pada of the Atma, the name is Pragnya. With the Upadhi, it is Pragnya. When you add Upadhi, you have to give another name. So, which is Mithya, of course. So, Pragnya is Mithya, Turiya is going to be revealed as a Chaturth pada, Turiya pada. And this Pragnya has been explained in many words. And so, many words, and first is Yatra Suptaha, that deep sleeper, etc. We have seen both the ways, and which has been, which has been qualified by na kanchana swapnam pashyati, na kanchana kamam kamayate, etc. And that Sushuptam. So that is this state of a deep sleep. And then Sushupta sthanaha, Sushuptam sthanam asya, one who is having a deep sleep experience, is the same Atma, that is Pragnya. Then Eki Bhuta also has been explained by Bhashyakara. Bhashyakara said, Sthanadvaya prabhibhaktam manaspanditam dvaita jatam tatharupa aparityagena avivekapannam naishatamograstam iva ahaha saprapanchakam eki bhutam iti uchyate. So Sthanadvaya Sthanadvaya prabhibhaktam dvaita jatam. Jatam means a samuha, that the group, the entire host of this duality, which is distinguished by what? Sthanadvaya. So Jagrata and Swapna, there one experience is definitely, it's a duality. So Sthanadvayena prabhibhaktam, which is in the form of this duality. Sthanadvayena prabhibhaktam dvaita jatam. So, which is manaspanditam. Manaspanditam, which is experienced in the form of a manovritti. Naturally. Consciousness manifests in the mind, that's it. That's how Ahankara is. Ahankara is nothing but a mind with a Chidabhasa. That Ahankara owns up mind first. The Ahamvritti has a Vishaya, that is mind. Entire mind. Gata Vritti has a Vishaya, Gata. Pata Vritti has a Vishaya, Pata. Aham Vritti has a Vishaya, entire mind. Entire mind is owned, Aham. Then, further, because it's a part of Sukshma Sharira, therefore it owns up. This Ahankara owns up now. First, Ahankara owns up the entire mind. This Ahankara owns up the Chittam, Ahankara owns up the Manaha, Ahankara owns up the Buddhi. Then Ahankara owns up even the sense organs. There is eye sense in the sense organs. and pranas and organs of action, everything. And that Sukshma Sharira is now taken as I. That's what we call Jiva, that only lives this body. Consciousness which is qualified with this Sukshma Sharira, that's called Jiva. Same Ahankara, Karta Bhokta. But then, while the person is alive, definitely there is an identification with the gross body also. So that is what Aham is. So Aham can be taken as just mind. You have to take Chidabhasa along. And then, that Aham spreads into entire subtle body and then gross body. So Aham goes up to that, and the rest of the thing is, definitely Idam. So this is Advaita, created by this mind alone. So the first Ahankara arises, and then Idam also, Vritti also arises, and so Aham Idam, both. So definitely this Dvaita Jatam is Manaspanditam, which is experience, this is car, this is wall, etc., etc. So each one I could have a distinct vritti, and when all this Manaspanditam, Dvaita Jatam, what happens? Tatharupa aparityagena avivekapannam. Tatharupa. So what is there? Dvaita Jatam, which is sthanadvayena pravibhaktam, which is this Dvaita Jatam, which is nothing but a oscillation of mind alone, or which is set up by the mind alone, and that is which is experienced in these two states, sthanadvaya pravibhaktam, which is distinctly experienced in these two states. Means compared to Sushupta, this is distinct, where this Dvaita Jatam has been experienced as Ahamidam, etc., or Triputi you can say. That Tatharupam, so it remains like that. So without, the differences which are there, the duality which is there, aparityagena, without giving up that duality, that differences, while avivekapannam, experientially it becomes what? I am not able to differentiate. We are discussing Sushupti. So this Dvaita Jatam remains as it is, but enveloped totally. By the ajnanam, ignorance. So I am not able to differentiate now the duality. So Tatharupam indicates very clearly. Tatharupam is which is the duality which is obtained in these two states remains as it is. Only it is Tatharupa aparityagena, so it doesn't go away. Only avivekapannam. I am not able to distinguish. Even though the entire host of duality is there, I am not able to differentiate, etc. Avivekapannam, avidya. You have to understand it is avidya. Because of that, I am not able to distinct. Here, aviveka is in terms of I am not able to distinctly say, unlike I was saying in a waking, that this is this and I am this, etc. I am not able to say. Okay. And then Bhashyakara gives an example also. Naishatamo grastam ahaha iva. Just as the day, the duality in a day. When the day is there, light is there, all duality you see. So, the duality in a day, naishatamo grastam. Nishayam bhavaha naisham. So, naisham eva tamaha, naishatamaha. The darkness, tamaha. Which kind of darkness? Well, naisham tamaha. Tamaha is a neutral word. So, nishayam bhavam naisham. Nishayam bhavam, which obtains in the night. So, the nightly darkness, nocturnal darkness, so the duality which is there is covered by naishatamaha. Is covered by, so naishatama grastam. Naishatamena grastam. So first, nishayam bhavam naisham. Naisham eva tamaha. Right? Naisham or naisham tamaha. Naishatamaha. Even let us forget it. Naisham tamaha. Naishatamaha. Naishatamena grastam. Naishatamo grastam. Eva. Example. Just as the day, the duality in a day has been covered by the nightly darkness, nocturnal darkness. So all the objects are there, but covered. So tatharupa aparityagena. All the objects are there as it is, they are there, no change. only they are covered, enveloped by this nocturnal darkness. That's how it is going to come Ghanaha. Ghanaha means same. So it is as though become one solid mass, as though. Nothing that all the objects of the day, I mean in the waking world, they have merged physically. No. Things are lying as it is. I gave you example of a room when the light suddenly goes off. In night, 8 o'clock, you are sitting, reading, everything, things are there. Your certain food items are also there in front of you. Everything is there. Suddenly lights go off and then everything is covered. So we can call it as a undifferentiated, eki bhutam. So eki bhutam is for the objects here. Pragnya Ghana is experience of those objects. So if objects are there, many and varied, duality is there, and then a corresponding experiences also will be there. So prajnanam will be there, experiences, various prajna will be there, right? So that also become as though one in a deep sleep state. Objects are as though become one, and the experiences pertaining to those corresponding objects also become as though one, undifferentiated mass. So that Pragnya Ghana is going to indicate that experience. So here, the word is saprapanchakam. So it says here, Naisha tamograstam iva ahaha saprapanchakam eki bhutam. Saprapanchakam. Prapanchena saha vartate. It is saprapanchakam. So this entire prapancha, the host of all objects that in this in both the states, waking and dream, all the objects, entire world, dream world and on waking world. So that is eki bhutam. So that way, eki bhutam we can take it for objects. In a deep sleep state, all objects of the dream and the waking, all as though have become one. As though become one because due to the darkness of ignorance. Avidyatamaha, natu naishatamaha. Naishatamaha is for ahaha, for a day. Naishatamaha, nocturnal darkness. In our case, in a Sushupti, it is avidyatamaha. It's a darkness in terms of ignorance. Ignorance covers. All waking objects are as it is. And all these dream objects in form of vasanas, they are there as it is. All are covered by one thing. And that is Karana Sharira, avidya. So that is how the predominance is. In a waking state, you have a predominance of the physical body. In a dream state, you have a predominance of the subtle body. And in a deep sleep state, you have a predominance of a Karana Sharira. That's how it is. So all the three shariras are there. So one has a predominance in a one state. So prapanchena savarta saprapanchakam. It's to indicate a bahuri. It's a saha bahuri they call. Prapanchena saha vartate iti saprapancha. Saprapancham. Saprapanchakam. Because it is indicating that Sushuptam. Please understand. Anyarthe bahuri. So prapanchena saha vartate iti saprapanchakam becomes eki bhutam. That is they become as to become one, undifferentiated mass. Then Bhashyakara says further, Pragnya Ghana explains, Ataha eva swapna jagrad manaspandhanani pragnyanani ghani bhutani iva sa iyam avastha aviveka rupatvat Pragnya Ghana uchyate. So as I told you, so the dualistic, the objects, naturally they are many and varied, so there is a duality. And there are corresponding experiences also. And those experiences are also of the same. So this is pot, one pragnya. This is cot, another pragnya. So this is house, another. So experiences also, corresponding experiences also become one. All pragnya becomes one undifferentiated mass of all the cognitions. They become as though one. Or experiences, they become one. Objects also have become one, indicated by eki bhutam, sushuptam, and this is also, the experiences also become one, which were there distinctly in a dream state also. Many cognitions are there, many experiences are there in of a dream objects and in waking also. Although as everything has to become one. So Bhashyakara says here, Pragnyanani. Well, Pragnyanani, so this experiences, well, Anubhava Rupani, definitely, they are all of the various experiences. Gani Bhutani, they are solidified as it were. So this Ganaha actually is for a cloud. The rain-bearing clouds are called Ganaha. Very dark. And so here, and very dense, naturally, rain-bearing clouds. Dense, dark clouds. And so that's the real literal meaning of Ganaha. Of course, Bhashyakara is going to explain that this word Ganaha in the next sentence, Yatha Ratrau Naishena Tamasa Avibhajyamanam Val Sarvam Ghanam Eva, etc. He explains further. But here we are taking this Pragnya Ghana, means all the experiences have to become one dense consciousness, mass of consciousness, like that. All experiences are consciousness. What experience is there without consciousness? No. In fact, the whole experience is consciousness. That is how consciousness is called Anubhuti. Anubhuti Swarupaha. Experience, entire experience. But entire experience means what? All the three components. The very experiencer is consciousness, the object of experience is consciousness, and the pramana, etc., means the vritti, etc., by which you experience a given object. That is also consciousness. So it's just due to Maya, it appears in three different names and forms. One consciousness appears in these three. That's it. And therefore, Pragnya Ghana, mass of consciousness. Various cognitions in a waking state, various cognitions in a dream state. What consciousness? This consciousness means what cognition? What knowledge, you say? And this knowledge, that knowledge, in waking objects, pertaining to waking objects, pertaining to dream objects, all become one. Pragnya Ghana. Sa iyam avastha. So, sa iyam. That which is this, means that deep sleep state, which is iyam, which is under discussion now. Yeah. So that deep sleep state, which is under discussion, prakruta, saim avastha, aviveka rupatvad, since it is in the form of undifferentiated state, well, it is called Pragnya Ghana. And then Bhashyakara, we have seen this actually. So, means it becomes undivided, consciousness. Jnata, Gne, etc. Well, is the division which is not there. Whole thing is one. In a waking state, it appears as three. In a dream state, it appears as three, duality. In a deep sleep state, it comes back to its karana, causal state. And, well, appear three because of the jnanam. Either in waking or dream, the cause is the ajnanam only. And therefore, it comes back to its causal state. So, it's born of avidya alone, that mithya. So, that is how it is Pragnya Ghana. Okay. And then Bhashyakara further explains that. Yatha ratrau naishena tamasa avibhajyamanam sarvam ghanam iva tadvat Pragnya Ghana eva. Sarvam ghanam iva. So this is a example. Yatha ratrau naishena tamasa avibhajyamanam sarvam ghanam iva. Well, so tadvat Pragnya Ghana. So that by that Prajnanam has been already explained. But Pragnya Ghana, Bhashyakara feels that let me give more explanation because of the word Ghana. So he gives an example. Of course, that same example. Already Naishatamo Grastam Bhashyakara has already said. He is explaining that further. So Yatha Ratrau Nishayam, Nisha or Ratri, they are synonyms. So Yatha Ratrau Naisham, and Naishe na Tamasa. Naisham I already told you. what obtains in night. That is called nightly or nocturnal. So yatha ratrau naishena tamasa, the darkness which is caused by the night obtains in the night. So nightly darkness. Sarvam avibhajyamanam, everything is not separable. So mind cannot separate it. Sarvam ganam eva, it is as though, since we could not separate it due to presence of this darkness, so it is as though everything has merged into one. That's our experience. This is our experience, that this is as though have merged into one. So due to darkness we are not able to distinguish. So that's how everything, even there is an internal world. We don't talk here because Bhashyakara takes the external world example, but even internal world, in terms of your emotions. So many emotions are there, memories there, your doubts are there, and your perceptions are there. All pragnya, varieties of pragnya, all have become one. External, internal world, totally. In fact, external, internal world alone is illumined. External, internal world is illumined by Ahankara. Consciousness doesn't directly comes in contact with external, internal world as a drugdrishya. No. Through Ahankara. Internal world also. All emotions, we say Sakshi Bhasha because the entire mind. So if you take entire mind along with emotions, everything, you say Sakshi Bhasha. But really speaking, the Ahankara illumines it. So there is a Krodha Vritti, and of course, Aviveka is there, therefore you say I am Krodhi, so definitely, etc. Because you take yourself as Ahankara. And Ahankara, well, the object for the Aham Vritti is entire mind. Aham is placed in entire mind, identification with the entire mind. So whatever arises in the mind, you take it as a I. So Krodha Vritti arises, and you know it also as a knower, Ahankara. But then definitely you say I am Krodhi. So this is what, because ultimately I know myself as Ahankara. This is a thing. And therefore I don't know that there is something which is even, for which even Ahankara is a drishya. And that is Sakshi, of course. That is Pratyekatma alone is the druk, and the Ahankara is a drishya. But not knowing this, I know myself as a Ahankara. And Ahankara illumines both the worlds. Both the worlds. And that is in inner world, emotions, memory, various perceptions and doubts, and external world also. But Swamiji, Atma alone illumines everything because Atma pervades everything, and now you say that. That's true. That's true. Atma alone pervades everything. But this drugdrishya sambandha, the seer-seen relationship, etc., with this world is, of course, through Ahankara. Ahankara itself becomes drishta because of the Sakshi, you know very well. The Sakshi alone manifests in the mind, that's what we call Chidabhasa. And that mind along with that Chidabhasa is Ahankara, becomes drishta. And the external world through the senses, etc., becomes drishya. Even senses are drishya for that mind. This has been explained in Drugdrishya Viveka. So the mind is literally an amazing thing. Mind is doesn't come under the category of drishyam, mind doesn't come under the category of drishta. From one standpoint, mind is drishta. From the standpoint of the world, etc., well, mind is definitely drishta, world is drishyam. But from the standpoint of a Sakshi, mind is drishyam. And therefore, so they give example of our doors and windows. Doors and windows, you cannot say, well, it's a part of the, because doors and windows basically are part of the external world, because you contact external world through that. And doors and windows are also a part of, you can say, inner, cannot say, doors and windows cannot be said as a part of the whole house, etc., inner world. No. So they are just like, this mind is like this, Ahankara is like this. That is how Nishkarma Siddhikara explained it as Atma, Anatma, Uparagat. Uparaga means a sambandha, the connection with the Atma and Anatma both, the world and the Sakshi, the Pratyagatma. So mind has both kind of relationship, so-called relationship. There is no relationship with the Atma. It's Mithya actually, but this is how it's been explained. This Ahankara is really a complex thing, which is a cause of samsara, is this. Anyway, so sarvam avibhajyamanam, everything is not separable. Mind so sarvam avibhajyamanam, sarvam ghanam eva. So as though they have merged into one. Tadvat Pragnya Ghana. And our knowledge also, and everything, also emotion, everything has become one. All the objects, external objects, also become one. So Pragnya Ghana, of course, in terms of experiences, here it is said. And then Pragnya Ghana eva. So why eva? Well, it's said here. Eva shabdat na jatyantaram prajnana vyatirekena asti iti arthaha. So, eva, why Pragnya Ghana eva? Upanishad says, well, Bhashyakara explains that because na jatyantaram prajnana vyatirekena asti. Jatyantaram is anything belonging to the another species. Definitely, well, and what is another species other than this consciousness? Well, it is a anatma, object, or you can say jadam, inert thing or matter. Well, that is not there in a deep sleep state. In a deep sleep state, what is there is just Pragnya Ghana, just one mass of consciousness, which alone manifests in the waking and dream as various, in form of various experiences, various cognitions, various forms of knowledges, etc. They have become one. Even though Karana Sharira is there, definitely. That is why it has not been said. Pragnya Ghana doesn't include like Karana Sharira. But that is because we talk about Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira is not experienced directly like that, but Karana Sharira is Anumeya. This is what is Avyaktam cannot be experienced. And so, in a Jagrata Avastha, we definitely say about the existence of Karana Sharira. We infer that Karana Sharira, etc. So, and we are talking about Sushupti, so we don't experience a Karana Sharira separate from the Atma. And therefore here it says Pragnya Ghana eva, no other object, because na jatyantaram. So Karana Sharira of course is an Atma, but well, it has not been said here because we talk about the experience in a Sushupti, that is Pragnya Ghana. There is just one self, and which illumines even this, and all Triputi, etc. is there, which we have seen in the Panchadashi first chapter, which we'll talk about after once this part is over. So, eva shabda jatyantaram prajnana vyatirekena nasti. Other than consciousness, there is no such thing as matter, etc. in a deep sleep state. Therefore, Pragnya Ghana eva. There is nothing else. Then, what Anandamaya and Anandabhuk, which has been said for Sushupta, also has been explained now. Manasaha Vishaya Vishayi Akara Spandana Ayasa Dukkha Abhavat. This is one word. Vishaya Vishayi Akara Spandana Ayasa Dukkha Abhavat. Manasaha. Anandamaya. This is the definition of Anandamaya. And then Maya has to be explained. So Bhashyakara gives Ananda Praya. Na Anandaha eva. Anatyantikatvat. And Ananda Bhuk also has been explained. Well, yathaloke nirayasa sthitaha sukhi Ananda Bhuk uchyate atyanta anayasa rupahi iyam sthitihi anena anubhuyate iti Ananda Bhuk. Yeshaha asya paramanandaha iti shrutehe. So first thing is manasaha vishaya vishayi akara spandana ayasa dukkha abhavat. So manasaha of this mind, dukkha abhavat. So manasaha dukkha abhavat. So basically dukkha belongs to the mind only, and that mind itself is resolved. And therefore there is a dukkha bhava in a sushupti. Therefore there is a ananda. So here Vishaya Vishayi Akara Spandana Ayasa Dukkha. So what is that dukkham of the mind? The spandanam of the mind is the effort on the part of the mind. That's called ayasa. And that creates all dukkha. And so, because spandanam as such means, manaspandana means what? Any kind of a change or motion or spinning or disturbance, etc. is spandanam. So in the mind there is a lot of spandanam going on in this form. So definitely, and that therefore there is a dukkha. Means more you think, more there is dukkha. Sometimes more we think means we are thinking right now too much, that creates dukkha. No. But when dukkham is there, definitely dukkham does not arise in a single thought. It also involves, of course, involuntary thinking. Any reaction arises in a mind is due to this. A single incident happen is an experience, but creates dukkham when you ponder over that. Even you bring a past also. You connect this incident with the past certain another incident. And lot of things. People advise that don't think too much. You just live it. But this person doesn't live. In fact, he doesn't get sleep because his mind is very active. So if he really wants to make himself free, he has to stop thinking, but he could not. Therefore, he takes a sleep so that mind resolves. Dukkha bhava. So basically in a Sushupti, one enjoys Ananda because there is a Dukkha bhava. Why? Because there is no ayasa on the part of the mind. So manaspandanam eva ayasa. What is that spandanam of the ayas of the mind is any kind of a change. Mind continuously changes. Change, motion, spinning, disturbance, etc. All. That is not there. So manasaha dukkha bhavat anandamaya. The Sushupta, well, definitely is anandamaya because of that. And it is in the form of what? Vishaya Vishayi Akara Spandanam, etc. The subject, object, etc. Naturally. Mind alone is in the form of subject object. So a lot of thinking is definitely necessary to have dukkha. That's how we say involuntary thinking invariably leads to reaction. Voluntary thinking only, that's a deliberate thinking. And mind has two types of thoughts. One type of thought which doesn't take your permission. It's not based on free will. You may initiate, let me think over this. You may initiate a thinking, thought pattern, but it goes to involuntary. You are not aware of. That leads to all reactions. That's how they say, convert involuntary thinking into voluntary thinking. Like convert your involuntary breathing into voluntary breathing for your own advantage, pranayama. Same way, involuntary thinking should be converted to voluntary thinking. Only upaya is meditation. Because you initiate a chant. You are aware of the chant. And you are aware of the gap between the two successive chants. So you are all the time, mind is thinking. Every thought, every chant is every thought. But you are deliberate all along. If you do for some time, your involuntary thinking starts and you will catch it. Because now your mind has formed an habit of voluntary thinking. Thereby you save yourself from many reactions. So Bhashyakara says manasa dukkha bhavat. So there is no, in a Sushupti there is no dukkha experienced because mind itself has resolved. Anyway. So manaspandanam is Vishaya Vishayi Akara. So it is in the form of Akara, in the form of subject object. And the dukkham associated either with the subject or associated with the object. Dukkham associated with the subject is all the time. Dukkham associated with the object is somewhere and somewhere it is not. But dukkham associated with the subject is all the time. Therefore, basically one is a displeased self. One is literally bored with oneself. We think somebody is, The Swami is giving a lot of boring boredom. Swami doesn't give. One is basically displeased with oneself. I'm small, all is not well with me. I'm a limited guy, I'm dependent, this, that. Thank God that, that gets dropped here and there. Clearance is there. Clearance. When that clearance happens, there is a fountain of joy. That's, yeah. That clearance can happen with one joke. With a one joke. Yeah. It just happens. Clearance, to make clearance, to get rid of this sense of smallness, etc. Person may think I only when I fulfill a certain desire, then this sense of smallness, sense of limitation, sense of lack will go away. Need not be. That's a wrong equation. Fulfillment of the desire gives me the sense of fullness. Need not be. In that case, lots of desires are unfulfilled. Lots and lots. My God. Even in a family, one has a tremendous wants. Starting from my spouse should be different. My wife should be different from what she is. My husband should be different from what he is. Children should not be like that. Children should be like this. The parents should be like this. Father-in-law, mother-in-law should be like this. The politicians should be like this. Religious leaders should be like this. Swamis should be like this. And the economic situation in the society should be like this. You may say it should be like this, but it is not so. The reality is different. And how many wants you have? In each state in a life, my God, as a child you could not, you have all the time compromise situation. It's always a compromise situation. In a school also, you wanted to be first in every sport. You wanted to get first grade in every class. In every subject you wanted full marks. As a child also. Then as a young adult, my God. As a middle-aged person. That is mid-age crisis. Mid-age crisis, we feel that crisis only occurs in a human life in a mid-age. It's not true. Crisis is there all along. Only in a mid-age you remember that now there is no hope. At the age of 45, you think now that in last 45 years I have attained so many things, education and money and all not, house and everything. Yet I remain an empty person. Then now another 45 years, it's a decreasing, where you cannot get what you have gained in the first 45 years. That creates, now you don't have a hope further. That creates a crisis. That's a mid-age crisis. Not that there is a crisis only in the mid-age. Other than that, everything is in old age also there is a joy, and in a young age also there is a joy. No. All unfulfilled desires are there, which gives a person a sense of failure. And that is there. It's a nucleus sitting in you. That is the boredom. I'm small, I'm this, I'm that. I could not fulfill all my wishes. And that dissatisfied self, Puja Swamiji calls it displeased self. That's get cleared. That gets cleared. Unfulfilled desires are still there, but gets cleared momentarily by a joke, by looking at the sunrise, or by looking at the spring flowers. My God, all my desires are yet unfulfilled. If the fulfillment of the desire only is giving me the sense of fullness or a joy, then in that case there is no chance of becoming happy. In spite of all the desires are unfulfilled, and in fact every day few more are added into that, one definitely gets moments of joy. From where? Not definitely from objects, because all desires are pertaining to objects. They are yet unfulfilled. Then definitely that joy comes from what? Not from object, and then from what? Second thing, if all this, but Swamiji, forget about that. Your philosophy, I don't like. You are going to say Chidananda, etc. I would say, he says, the person says, okay, desires are unfulfilled, yet I get a joy. There could be some source, you say subject, etc. But one thing is there, fulfilled desire definitely gives joy. Unfulfilled desire, in spite of unfulfilled desire, I become happy, that's one thing. I accept it. But fulfillment of desire definitely gives joy. Need not be. Need not be. Many desires you have fulfilled. My one of friend has fulfilled a desire of buying a house in New Jersey. He wanted a particular type of house and he got it also. And he wanted at a particular price, he got it also. And after, housewarming, and now he is living in that, he is extremely unhappy. He says, I should not have desired this. Thousands of things are there. You buy a piece of land, thinking that it is most desirable, and you buy it, and after buying, you repent also. Thousands of things which you have, desires are there. Person, well, I should not say that, but you know very well, person wanted to marry a particular man or woman, and married also, now should be happy. Well, within 1 year he says, I took a wrong decision. Thousands of people told me that. I'm not saying anything to you. So it's entirely a different thing. Happiness and fulfillment of desire has no connection at all. No connection. It's simply ignorance. One's own ignorance. Just one's ignorance. And that can be explained in Vedanta, that even your fulfillment of desire gives you a joy. It's not the fulfilled desire gives you joy. Something happens here. There is a clearance. When there is a clearance, in terms of this, clearance means I am small, I am this, all is not well with me, this, etc. That gets cleared momentarily. And you experience your own self, full self. That's it. Nothing else. So anyway, so dukkha, it is, because it is, I really would like to discuss this. Manasaha dukkha bhava. When I said this, that I am maybe of the nature of happiness, like this I might prove. And so the happiness is always centered on oneself. I. Okay. He says, if happiness is centered on oneself, happiness is nature of oneself. Nice question. Happiness is nature of oneself. In that case, it is intrinsic. Yeah, it is intrinsic. Then happiness should never leave I. Yeah, happiness should never leave I. But unhappiness arises, that also is I. You never say that this is unhappiness. You say, I am unhappy. You say, I am happy. Therefore, I am of the nature of happiness. Then if it is intrinsic, you should not live. But happiness goes and then unhappiness comes. Unhappiness goes and happiness comes. Again, happiness goes and unhappiness comes. Unhappiness goes and happiness comes. Therefore, what is the nature of I? What is the nature of I? Whether it is happiness or unhappiness. What is the nature? Well, we say unhappiness obstructs happiness. Manasaha dukkha abhavat. The obstruction goes away. How can you say it's obstruction? Well, ask a question. Well, if you are by nature unhappy, let's say the other way. So if your nature is unhappiness, then how will you express that unhappiness? How will you express? You have to say, I am happy that I am unhappy. You have to say that. Please understand. How will you say, I am happy that I am unhappy? Because it's your natural state, therefore you are happy. You will not say, I am unhappy, therefore I am unhappy. Because I am unhappy. No, you will not say. You have to say, I am happy because I am unhappy, because I am with my nature. I am with myself. Unhappiness is my nature. That statement itself you don't like. You have a distaste in your mouth when I say, I am happy because I am unhappy. Hey, what is this? What are you saying? Therefore, definitely, unhappiness cannot be my nature. Secondly, you never condone a person who is happy. Do you give any condolence message to the person who is happy? You are my friend, I seeing you in this happiness state, I really feel bad about. You know, I really feel bad. I don't know, out of all these people, why Bhagavan gave you this happiness. I really pray for you to get rid of it. Never. Without knowing any Vedanta, the humanity knows that happiness is something which is a natural state. You never give a congratulation to the person who is unhappy. Wow! After a long time, I am seeing your long face. Wow! What a thing! Understand, who doesn't know even Vedanta, we also. The humanity, the entire humanity, no one would approve my this statement. That give a congratulation to the person who is unhappy, send a condolence message, offer a condolences to the person who is happy. Who will accept? The one who says this will be considered as a mad guy. Okay? And therefore, unhappiness is my nature or happiness is my nature. That question doesn't stand here. Definitely, the happiness seems to go away. Seems to go away because there is some obstruction. Just as you don't feel the heat of the fire, not that the fire has become cold. Fire is hot, but there is obstruction. There is obstruction. Remove the obstruction, and you remove it experientially. It goes. It goes. That's a moment of joy in a waking state. That's a moment of joy. That's not moment of joy. That's a state of joy in a deep sleep state where you drop. Where you drop this, the clearance is for 6 hours, 8 hours. I am small, I am this, I am that, I am limited. I am a failure. Yeah, I am failure because it haunts. All your unfulfilled desire haunts you. And therefore, all this gets dropped. And there is no object, yet you are happy. That's Ananda in a deep sleep state. So therefore, Anandamaya, very beautifully it has been said. So, obstruction goes away. Unhappiness is an obstruction born of the notions pertaining to oneself. I am small, I am failure, etc. All is not well with me, etc. That is born of the ignorance of oneself. Yeah. And therefore, just ignorance of yourself cannot give. But this ignorance has a twofold power. It's a avarana also, means your real nature is covered. At the same time, vikshepa also is there, adhyasa is there, all wrong notions are there, errors are there. Those error haunts in a waking state, or perhaps in a dream state also. So the vikshepa definitely goes away. Still, ignorance of course is there, but still that's how we will not say. Since the ignorance is there, well, otherwise, the deep sleep state would become a state of enlightenment. Means the person goes to the sleep and comes up, comes out in a waking state and says, well, I am Ananda. But you won't say. You won't say. And therefore, you are not Ananda. That's also Bhashyakara is saying, na Ananda eva. So, this Sushupta is Anandamaya that I am explaining you. That is Ananda Prayaha, na Ananda. Means that's not a Sarupananda. It's just you are experiencing Sarupananda, but it is not a state of an enlightenment. Definitely not. And here, so why do you say that Anandamaya and not Ananda? Why don't you say Anandamaya is Ananda Vikara, etc.? Well, Vikara is possible when there is Antakarana. That's Antakarana Vritti only. And Antakarana is not there. Therefore, Ananda Vikara is not there. Therefore, one of the meaning of the Mayat Pratyaya, Vikara, will not be taken here. Anandamaya is not Ananda Vikara here. To have a Vikara of the Ananda in form of a Priyamoda, Pramoda, etc., well, you need a mind, Antakarana, which is absent here in a deep sleep state. And therefore, we cannot take it that way, Ananda Vikara. Then why don't you say it's Ananda Swarupa, Ananda Heva? Bhashyakara says no. Chit Swarupa. Because, Anandamaya is, Mayat is used also for a Swarupa, like Chinmaya, etc. This is a closest example. There could be another example, but Chinmaya is a Chit Swarupa, Chaitanya Swarupa. So that is a Chinmaya. Mayat here in terms of Swarupa. Anyway, so this here we cannot take it that way, because Jnanam is still there, and so and of course obstruction in terms of all this adhyasa etc. on yourself, in terms of I am a failure and all that, that has gone. That's true. The vikshepa has gone, which is there present in both the states, in waking and dream. That has gone. This adhyasa born of ignorance. So adhyasa is, though all this has merged, all the notions pertaining to yourself has merged into its cause called ajnanam. But ajnanam is there, and therefore definitely I mean, even though so the other obstructions are not there, I told you, well, the obstructions get clear even in a waking state, and that time also experience happiness. Here obstructions are not there, I am so and so etc. Adhyasa is not there. So still we cannot take it Ananda Swarupa, because definitely when you go to sleep and come out of that, well, you don't take yourself as a free person. Therefore, well, because ajnanam is present, and therefore anatyantikatvat, well, atyantikam means nityam, well, but here na atyantikam, so anatyantikatvat, that's the reason, anityatvat. So this, you get a freedom from all this samsara etc. that is temporary in a deep sleep state. If it is a swarupa, it cannot be temporary, it's intrinsic etc. And therefore that would be nityam also. So this is not there. So what we have to take it is, mayat has a third meaning, and not a swarupa, not a vikara, but prayaha. Praya means prachura. Ananda praya Bhashyakara says, Ananda prachura. And that is, I gave example before, Brahmanamaya gramaha. I am Brahmanamaya gramaha. This village has a predominance of Brahmins etc. Brahmanamaya, that mayat is a prachurya, predominance. So here prachura, Ananda prachura is, there is a predominance of Ananda, because why? Dukkhasya bhavat. Because basically there is no dukkha, which is caused by those obstructions. Manaspandanam, constant manaspandanam, in form of varieties of the reactions and disturbance and spinning and etc. Various thoughts. And in any thought, ultimately the ahamvritti has to be there, and ahamvritti will, that is pertaining to Ahankara only, that's adhyasa. So disturbance will be all the time there, and therefore here dukkha hetu abhavat. So that ayasa spandanam is not here, and therefore there is a sukha predominantly. But prayaha is, so as I told you, ananda prayaha prachuratvam of the ananda, predominance of Ananda, but not Ananda Swarupa, because the Jnanam is still there. Otherwise the person wakes up as an enlightened person. That doesn't happen. So tamo vibhutaha sukharupameti etc. etc. We have seen that before also. Anyway, so yatha loke nirayasa sthitaha sukhi anandabhuk uchyate atyant anayasa rupa hi yam sthitihi anena anubhuyate iti anandabhuk eshosya paramananda iti shrutehe etc. That we will see on Monday. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.